Everything operates in seasons. So when things are going well, you've accumulated that karmic credit, if you will, for that season. And yes, it had to be a season where you would need to burn some of it off, primarily, right? Especially, it may even coincide with the colder months. So, because some of us need to stay inside and generate more of our own heat due to the colder times of the year, we incubate this new version of ourselves, and we start to we intensify the heat of the inner furnace, right? The heat of the inner furnace, so that we may burn off some of the ossified is not the word, but maybe calcified or just solidified karmic residue. The thing is, karma can be negotiated, and that's one of the ways, is by going through it internally instead of waiting until you need it to manifest outwardly through people, usually, because then it's a much bigger thing at that point. But some of us need that, myself included. Yeah, so by the time it's summer, now you can be outside with it. At least a lot of us. I don't know where you stay, but I'm in Miami, the place of no winter. I mean, we may have like a 2 to 4 week winter, where the coldest it got last year was like 30, which was chilly, right? But nothing compared to, and people still wear sundresses like year round, right? You know what I mean? I say people as if it's not women, right? I promise you, like at the mall and everywhere. December, January, February, yeah. Anyway. So this imposter syndrome that seems to be gnawing at my attention lately, where it feels like, because everything is going exceptionally well, I feel like, all right, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But I've dealt with that for a long time, and I feel like I can manage it much better now. But the second thing with the imposter syndrome when things are going well is like, okay, so then I'm telling myself I need to use this period when I'm up to stash and accumulate, right? To stash and accumulate. Yes, you can shine out there because summer is kind of made for that, right? Especially, I mean, people of my skin tone, slightly lighter or darker, definitely, where we want to be out in the sun. We want to be out, right? Receiving those cosmic rays. And yes, the hottest of it too. I'll be outside 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m. Rarely in the mornings. That's usually when I stay inside and like focus on some music. But yeah, morning sunlight is great too. I try to get 8 a.m., 9 a.m. type sunlight, but just a little bit, like probably no more than 5 minutes. Maybe I should change that to like 15 or something. I used to sun gaze a lot, but anyway, the imposter syndrome when things are going well. It seems like I've already figured out how to stratify that in my hierarchy of priorities, where to place it, right? And it can be grouped into just internal dialogue. And the thing about internal dialogue is that it's not always important. In fact, if you just listen to it but don't consider it important, it will just continue giving you things and giving you things and giving you. It's just like, but you don't need, like, that's not necessarily you. You know, I'm looking to the camera because of a specific, it's like a feeling, right? That's not exactly you. You are the silence that experiences it, right? And that's like woo woo, but these are ponderings that I have regularly, just out and about, being like, wow, I'm alive. It always comes through somewhat fascination with reality, which may not be a great thing, but like everything, it has its pros and cons. Yeah, the imposter syndrome thing is like, it's so interesting because obviously we get into the topic of deserving, right? Deserving. And I remember having a conversation with a woman, and I forgot what exactly the whole context was, but I ended up saying something to the effect of, that's the thing about you knowing what you deserve, is that you actually decide what you deserve, right? You decide what you deserve. That's partially true, but it's also, how do you align with what you deserve, right? You decide what you deserve, but how do you align with what you deserve, right? So that's the main thing, and I had grown so accustomed to identifying with how productive I was, that when I started slowing down and actually dedicating some time to intentionally just not be productive, just do what I want for like the next hour or 2 hours, let's say, something like that, right? Just do what I want. And I've done it so much these past 2 months, to the point where I'm like, now I see my threshold of how much rest and just like, I don't want to say distraction. You could say it's distraction, but it's like intentional regulation from all the intensity around, right? Intentional regulation from all the intensity around, because everything is so stimulating. Right now, I'm parked outside a park, and I come here so often. I come here basically every night, and it's dark, and someone may be like, why are you coming here? To do what? And it's like, literally to just be in the dark around a bunch of trees, grass. It's by the water, like it's even better, but, and just be with me, so if you found this video, you may want to do that. You may want to do that. I highly recommend it. Somewhere out in nature, fresh air, the freshest air you could find, which basically means the most trees you can find, right? And ideally the most away from the city, but I'm not too far from the city, so, yeah. If you in MIA, hit me up, even if it's just a chat. Want to see what's up with you. Yeah, yo, maybe we can meet. Or not. I'm reluctant to get into the whole God thing when it comes to deserving, because I feel like that's the most obvious angle to take. But now that we're 9 minutes into this, and I haven't really, now I'm like, okay, we might as well just start poking at the most obvious thing, which is God. And the concept of, does God decide if you deserve? But, if we entertain that, the first question that we would need to clarify is, well, who is God? or who is God. So if God is in heaven, well, according to a passage of, is it Luke 17:21? Luke 17:21. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So, okay. All right. Some may say, no, there's no way. There's no way this guy on YouTube is like identifying as God. It's not exactly what I mean. However, through this body, I interface with, I don't even want to say him, with who you feel God is, you know? Who you feel God is. And we may be talking about separate gods. That's the thing, you know? That's the thing. Which one are you referring to? If you're referring to the God of the Bible, well, which name? You know, because Elohim is quite different from Yahweh. You know? And then if it's Christ, okay, well, then I respect that. I respect it either way. I just want to open the discussion, right? Because these are low-key, high-level discussions. It's just, I'm still poking at certain topics on this channel to see what exactly we want to open a discourse about. I love health information. I also love esoteric information. Also love very practical things like Qigong and Tai Chi. Though I'm not an aficionado in any one of these. It's just deep interests. Deep interests. And yes, I train martial arts and I lift. Recently switched to a 2-day a week weightlifting program. Because I'm dealing with a bit of an injury. And I want to see if I could, pick up a bit more, maybe just one more class of martial arts a week, and I feel like I have so much muscle on me now that I don't really need to focus on, like, getting bigger. If martial arts is really the thing, like, look, ideally, I would be getting bigger and also training martial arts, but the thing is, there's high costs to that. Most obviously the food, right? And this is just me, right? Just telling you. Maybe you could, use this as inspiration for your own training or how you guide your nutrition and whatnot. But if I just sustain my current level of frequency of training, I will need to certainly eat more, and I will also need to sleep more. So more of my time training, sleeping, and eating, yeah. As much as I want to do it, there's at a certain point where I'm like, need to focus on, or need to stratify that a bit lower in the priority list, because the main thing would be, aside from self-development and working toward freedom, in many ways, it would be the music, right? But at the same time, I feel like we could open some really interesting discussions here. We've already had some in the comments, and I love that, It's just something that now I'm feeling like, this community. By community, I don't mean just this channel, and thank you to everyone watching. Thank you for thank you for the attention. And I hope it's symbiotically beneficial, But yeah, I don't know why I was getting so deep into my training. Look, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. I appreciate y'all.